Okay, with Rocrail restarted, what we're going to do is to go in and look at recent workspaces. And with recent workspaces, you can see here's the ecosystem. And now it's opening up the server. Let's minimize this. And what we can do is here to test. So if you hit the power on switch, then you should see it power up on your ecosystem. That shows that you have control over the ecosystem. Now, the next thing what we're going to do is we're going to set up the plan. And here you see the level 0. Level 0 is equivalent to your ecosystem and the layout here. So you've got the each one of the windows or tabs for your displays. So when you see the control board 1 through 4, this is equivalent to the plan. So this would be control board 1, and plan or level 0 is equivalent to the first page of a layout plan. Now you can go in and move and increase your screen and viewing size. Now that's kind of what Ron, the subscriber, or not subscriber, but the viewer was wanting to do, was to be able to put his complete layout on one screen or one page. And I believe he said it took 5 pages to place his layout on the ecosystem. So he wanted to have an alternative means of displaying, and using Rocrail he's able to do that. So here, let's say you want to start to create your plan, and this is where it's similar to the ecosystem in how you can put in your track pieces or track segment switches and whatnot. So let's go to track plan, and when we go to edit, it'll automatically open up our parts window, and here we can drag and add the track pieces. Here you can put in the corner. I'm sorry. Here we've got the corner. You can then add this piece. You can do a rotation or orientation here. You can also do a copy and then paste the piece in. So right here, oh, sorry. So here I'm just going to rotate and then make the U piece. And there, that's a quick kind of setup of a U. And let's go in and delete this, and we can go to the switch screen, go ahead and lay out a switch. So now let's close that. Now that's the switches. Here's the use section. I think in Ron's comments he said he had 29 switches. So I'm not sure how he's got it configured, but this is how you make the basic layout. Okay, now that we have our plan laid out, we're going to now move to controlling or actuating one of the switches. And on the, let's jump into the ecosystem. Now this is one of the better features that the ECoS has over other command station is the ability to look at its screen itself. If we pull up the VNC, here is the telnetting into the ecosystem, and because it has its own web server, it's able to allow us to see the screen via a terminal. So here we've got the switch. The switch is set up for address 115, and if we go back to the ecosystem, go back to Rocrail. If we open the tables and we go into switch, we can see that this switch, we look at the interface ID is the ECoS, is into the ECoS. It's an NMRA DCC, that's the protocol, and now the address is going to be 115. So 115 is the switch address. So let's do OK, and if we pop back into the viewer, we can see the screen. If we click here, this is one thing that you have to watch out for. None of the switch commands or anything will operate unless your track power is on. So let's click track power on, and then now if we click here, you can see that the switch throws here. And if we click on via Rocrail, Rocrail will then throw the switch. So let's go back into it, and now you see that it's thrown. So here we've got it configured and set up with the switch is now being controlled via the panel itself in Rocrail, and then also with the controller or the command station itself. So now we've got control over our layout. We've created a plan or a basic plan, and we added the switches. And typically, like in Ron the viewer, he had, I think, 29 switches. So you would see all 29 of these switches would be then populated with the address, and then he could then load and build his plan accordingly. Now the next thing is the trains themselves, and if we go into tables, locomotive, and table locomotive is where you set up your train or your locomotive. And if we go into the index, and if we add a new, that brings up the first loco, and then it has the default address of 3. If we go into interface, you change the ID to the ecosystem that controls the loco that you want. Then you change the address, and we'll put 1008. And with this, you can, if you have the features, you're able to load in the icon or the image of your loco. So let's see if we can do that real quick. General, and let's see if I can pull up an image. Let's see if I have one in here. No. I'm sure I have it somewhere. Train image here. Let's go here, open. Okay. And there you can see your image pops up with the type loco that you have set up. And you could go into tables and then locomotive, and then you could add in whatever general information, all the road numbers and things like that. So let's go here, minimize this, or actually apply it. Okay. And here, if you double click on this, you can bring up the throttle, and then you have control over it. So you can have control over the throttle based upon what you have selected here, and the controls are open up an individual window. And as you access, and it depends on your F keys. You can all set that up. Excuse me. You can set that up in the table, locomotive table, as well. So this is the basic configuration and setup for Rocrail to get your ecosystem going, and hopefully, and either of the other systems that you use, it's the same basic principle. You go into the Rocrail properties, and then you go into the controllers and set it up. It's kind of, it's really in depth, but as your eyes acclimate to the tables and how the basic premise, the basic premise or format that Rocrail runs in, it gets a lot easier. So hopefully this helps you guys out. So as usual, like, subscribe, and share, and we'll talk to you guys later.